Welcome to the Foul Play YouTube channel. Hope everyone's doing well today. And today we're heading into open mic number 223. I don't know that we'll finish. I was looking at this earlier. I don't know that we'll finish, um, but we might. Most of these are pretty short. Just depends on how much conversation that we have about it. So, got Cherie with me today so far. Not sure if Susan's coming. Maybe if she can. I don't know. She works on Sunday evenings, so maybe. How
Yeah,
you doing, Cherie?
I'm good. Hi everybody. Welcome to Open Mic. How you doing?
So, I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. Just drinking coffee and that kind of thing. Football's back in swing of things. Um, College ball. All day yesterday. I know a lot of people watch a lot of college ball. I do it personally, like college football, probably more than yeah, I do. I like it more than professional ball. Not, that, I don't hate professional, the NFL, but it's just certain thing that happened that really kind of turned me off with the NFL owners, and it's just irritating. But anyway, um, my
As you
team won.
might,
Yeah,
oh,
huh?
sorry.
No,
As you
I'm
might
just gonna say.
imagine, I can do without it. But
Well, like I said, there's certain teams that I like to watch, and I mean certainly the Detroit Lions. They've had such they've had a pretty rough time last many years, and last year they did pretty decent, and but I really like the college scene. I guess it's just because it's ever changing. I mean, the NFL changes too, but the college football is, you get to see a lot of standouts really get their legs under them, and moving forward to a professional career. And a good team showing good discipline, working together and not being showboaty. That's always a real positive thing. And it's the competition. It's really good. So anyway, let's see. We have several of our usual suspects in the crowd today. Thanks for coming and listening in. I'm sure we have many lurkers um, in the background. Welcome to you as well. You don't have to necessarily participate. That's fine. I do the same thing on various YouTube channels that I watch. I just listen and take it all in. Anyway, not much else going on. There's still quite a uh, fairly significant discussion going on X or Twitter or Twixter, however you want to pronounce it. Um, so there's a lot of people that are in that conversation, and at least in one of the conversations, kind of have to learn how X works. I mean, there's many conversations you can get into, and then that conversation, you can comment, and that if you comment, that can turn into its own conversation. You just have to understand how Twitter. A lot of people say, "Well, it's just so confusing." Well, it is. You just have to understand that if somebody makes a post and you comment on that post, there can be another conversation from your comment that can lead. It's not its own post, but it kind of is, because it can branch off and become another conversation. Somebody can comment on in that range in that a stream of comments, and another conversation can start. It can be confusing, but at the same time, you can follow it. It took me, God, it seemed like it took me forever to understand that, but once I saw it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's not that hard. And being one of the older guys I'm guessing in the room, even with you guys that are listening, I'm gonna bet if I can get it, you can get it. Anyway, um, but there's still a lot of, like I said, there's still a considerable amount of conversation going on about one thing or another. not necessarily with people that are with us here on YouTube, um, but several are. There's no doubt. The reading with the crew, with Doc and Neverly, and a lot of the things that have been talked about the last few weeks about this fire that the state happened on the 31st, and Teresa was incinerated, cremated, however you want to do it. I've long suspected, just because of various things that I've seen over the years, that if there was a fire on the 31st, it wasn't a very big one, and it didn't last very long at all. That's just, hey, that's me. Make up your own mind. But for me, given what Doc has pulled out and put together succinctly, tells me that the larger fire was on the 30th. Brendan was over there until to almost, we don't know exactly when, but it was 8:44 when Jody called, and he was still there. That tells me that most likely the bulk of all that what was presented as the 31st actually happened on the 30th. Again, I'm not saying there wasn't a fire on the 31st. I'm saying if there was, it was a small fire, probably finishing up what they didn't get done the day before, and that Brendan was home no later than 8 o'clock. No later.
Yes, and this is minute detail, but Stephen was going after Barb for not taking enough time and care of her sons at that time, but then to keep Brendan out all night, or late at night and stuff. It doesn't make sense.
Right. Well, I mean, 30th was a Sunday night. He certainly couldn't have stayed out very, very late.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, I mean, it was still Halloween following morning, and they had to go to school, but still, they have to get up, 6:30, 6:30, catch the bus by 7 or 7, whenever the hell they caught the bus, 7:10, whatever. So they'd get ready and walk down to the bus stop. So they couldn't stay out very late. And I'm guessing 9:30 or so would be about the latest. I'm just throwing that number out. I don't really know what the cutoff number was. But there's a lot of supporting factors that say that Brendan was there that afternoon and not Monday afternoon. The phone calls with Jody. There's other the statement about from Carmen about Blaine. I mean, come on, man. And this all just got it just got missed. All that got missed and not put together. And people's memory. I've been wrong before. I bet you if you look at your own life, like every one of us out there, I bet you're thinking there's things that you thought happened at a certain, maybe a date or a time, and then you come to find out later, and I missed that. I was off. I was off by a day. I was off by a few days. I've done it, and I used to have a pretty decent memory. Yeah, I've had other factors that have affected that now, but I still try my best to, especially things that are important, lock that kind of away and into its own little box there, or whatever you want to call it. That does this happen on this day? Obviously, you can't do. I mean, I can't. Some people can. They have the eidetic memory or whatever you call it, that they can remember really tiny details. Some people have that ability. Most people do not. And without doubt, and I don't mean this again. We've said this a million times. There's no. I'm trying to be mean to the Averys or anybody in that family. They don't have good memories. They can't remember certain events with clarity or with specificity, or however you say that word.
Specificity.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you. They can remember an event, but they can't nail it to a date and time. That it's and a lot of people are like that. It's just the way it is. Memory's not like a videotape. It's just not. Anyway, so all right. Let's see if there's anything before we start. Does anyone know why Sandra Moore slandered Avery? Was it related to pictures of cops? I don't think so. No, I don't think so, Corey. We don't really know. I've never heard. There's a lot way back, back in 2016. There was a lot of rumors, but nothing that I ever heard was ever proven out with anything other than just people talking. We just don't know for sure. At least I don't. I've never heard anything concrete that could be substantiated.
I haven't either.
Yeah. Bruno is a true. I guess is it true that milk remains of the vertebrae and ribs were found? I think there was whatever these connectors. Doc would have to tell you the word. These little whatever. There's little whatever that goes between the vertebrae. There was a very small amount, and when I mean small, I mean talking in grams of whatever these whatever it is that goes between the vertebrae was found. And I believe there was part of one rib bone found, a small part, but the rest is no. The rest of the torso was missing, gone, never been found, as far as I know.
I looked it up, and what goes between the vertebrae and the spine is an intervertebral disc. So disc for short.
Yeah, they'll call it something else, but yes, and
Oh, okay.
Well, no, you're still correct, but you think about all the bones in the back in your spine, and there are a lot of them, the vertebrae, and then all your rib cage. There's a lot of those too. Collarbone, all that. As far as I know, they never found anything. Like I said, I think there was part of one rib bone found. So pretty bad, and we have no idea where that ended up. The bones ended up in such bad shape. It's almost again. I've said this before, and I'm not trying to be gross at all, but it's like somebody put her body through that rock crusher on and the redundant quarry. Corey, about those bones, guys, didn't certain cops have relatives who owned crematories? As I recall, there was, gosh, which one was it? I don't know if it was one of the Hermans family members. I think it was a different cop.
I thought it was Bushman's wife.
Bushman's wife, yeah.
That's what it rings a bell with me.
Yeah, her family owned a funeral home. I seem like I remember. I'm remembering somebody said that funeral home had a crematory, but I don't know that for a fact. But I never really ran any of that kind of stuff down, Corey. I can't say that for positive. I just never jumped off into that part of the research. Seemingly like the name of that funeral home, for whatever reason, is Pfizer, but I could be wrong.
It's PF something. I think you're at least.
Yeah, I think. I agree, Cherie.
Here's Dr. Silkman with the answer for you.
There's Doc. He nailed it. Thanks, Doc, for the vertebrae facets. Yeah, there was. Doc dug that out and found out there was wasn't very much at all left. KT Burjack, can you talk about the rock crusher a little more, please? Well, look, it's just speculation on my part. I'm just for me, uh, these bones, if you just look at them, I mean, we have dozens of photos. They're in such a rough shape, the bulk of them. It's like they've been crunched, like they've been crushed up in something very powerful that would render them to such a degree as these small fragments. I mean, if somebody were to do it, if a person wants to try to do it themselves, they're basically going to have a sledgehammer and something hard to smash bones up to that, to me, to that degree. Now, I've never done anything like that, so I could be looking at this the wrong way, but I don't think I am. And that's going to take time. That's going to take a lot of time, actually. Teeth smashed up, most of them gone. It's gone. That's another part that they found three fragments that Dr. Simley glued together. But again, I just look at all the photos that we have in the white box, the various other photos that we've been looking at. There was a lot of discussion about Adam BZ, and other bone fragments that came from one place or another, and they're just smashed. They just look like they've been crushed. I don't know what effect a rock crusher would have on a human body, but you know, my 2 cents is it's just going to render it down to just fragments, which is what basically we see. Yeah, I don't know, KT. I don't know, but to me it was always really interesting, and I understand these places are interconnected, but they were so quick into the Redont quarry on the afternoon of the 5th. They were there by 1:30, and Teresa she had no appointment over there. Why are they heading over to the Redont pit an hour after they picked up 5 of her friends in the Manitowoc County, or at the Avery salvage yard? They find 5 of her friends at 12:15, 12:30. Manitowoc did, and I guess they tell the whichever cop it was, well, we came through the quarry, blah blah blah. Um, and that's what prompted them. I've never heard a good reason why they're over there. I've never heard any other connection as to why they would be over there. The only connection I can think of. If anybody has any ideas, set my brain straight so I can get it out of there, or I can dive in deeper. But I don't think there's anything else we have documentary from the documentation that's going to lead me to say, oh, that's why they went there. Because they go from the Manitowoc, or from the Redont pit quarry. Then we end up at the Manitowoc County gravel pit. We end up over at Cuss Road, and then of course we jump across the road as well over to Mickles Materials. That entire area. But again, an hour. Let's just say an hour after these 5 friends were picked up that are searching for Teresa or the raft or whatever, are found on the Avery salvage yard. These cops are at the Redont quarry wanting to search. Phone calls were made. We got the phone calls. We've listened to them. So it just bothers me. Another question. According to the affidavit of Thomas Swinsky, by what way did Bobby get into the Avery salvage yard? Well, according to Swinsky, he was delivering paper, paper down Avery Road. So that would have been from. Well, I mean, if we just look at it from a straightforward standpoint, that would have been from Highway 147. So take that for what you will. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you could put with that and say, I'm not even going to say that it was Bobby. I'm just going to say person 1 and person 2 are, they're bringing this raft back to their property, and knowing that there's people that live all over the property, they shut it off. They're on coming into Avery Road at some point, so they don't wake anyone up. Right? I don't know that to be the truth. I don't know. I just have to take Sowinski's affidavit as it is, and let's see if it gets challenged. I'll let it get explained in a hearing. I don't know any other way around it. So, Corey, all dogs run towards Cuss Road, then Bones make their way back to Avery. Well, that's another big discussion we had on X talking about Cuss Road. You know, it just depends on what you're willing to look at. I guess what you're willing to, play around in your head. Uh, what you take away, each one of us takes away from the events of Cuss Road. Uh, you know, thankfully we have um, the photos from Trooper McConnell, which was in the helicopter, and Trooper Reese and Judge that were there documenting the scene. Yeah, you have to look. You kind of have to step back from that one too. And they come up and say, "Well, we dug. We went. We were there. We spent hours there, and all we come up with was an old rotten pallet and a couple old peat moss bags. But they really wasn't nothing there. But there's hundreds. I mean, Trooper McConnell took 179 photos flying overhead. Not they weren't all Cuss Road, but a lot of them are. I mean, he was flying around that whole area and snapped a lot of photos of Cuss Road. And then you had Trooper Reese on the ground, and he couldn't. They wouldn't let him back over there to where the tarp was and the disturbed earth. But he's walking around that area. They string up 2 or 3 miles of crime scene tape. I don't know how many rolls they strung up, but it had to be a lot. They bring in at least 20 people over there. I know I counted at least 20 or 21 at one time. That was over there in the road and kind of milling around the area. They bring in it's never. I can't find it. Maybe it may be in one of the reports, but Julie Kramer was brought in with um, not Loof, but Yellow Dog, Brutus, the cadaver dog, to the disturbed earth. The dog hits on that whatever, indicating that there's been something biological that's decayed there. It's in and then of course the bottom dropped out when Sunshine Christina got the disturbed earth unfiled search warrant. And for me, and of course in that warrant, there's many other things that are listed. So again, taking all this other that's kind of not reported by the cops, Wiedering says, nothing to see here. There's nothing here. Him having to know damn well that there was things there. But there's several items in that unfiled warrant that are really not reported anywhere else. As far as I know, they weren't submitted for evidence. Fallon, this is another part that came up again in our discussions on X. Fallon and Kratz filed this reply to a motion that Buting and String had filed about resources and where these gals were at and what they were doing. And it clearly says in their own report from the state that there was bone material found at the clandestine burial site. It's right there in that report. So again, it's what you take away from it. Not everyone takes away what Jack takes away, or Doc, or Cherie, or any of the rest of us, and people out in the public. But I'm not willing to let it go. I'm just going to have to take it what they're saying, because they have to choose their words a little bit, especially a guy like Fallon. I mean, this guy's not a dumbass. He's going to choose his words a little more carefully. So, that was kind of a long way around, but I think they found something at Cuss Road. I think they found several things, and whatever happened, one way or the other, made its way back to Avery's. I'm not saying they fired off and had a little side meeting. Says, "Hey guys, we need to really nail this guy. Who's going to do the deed?" I don't think that happened at all. But then again, I have to look at what was entered into evidence and what wasn't. There's something happened there, and we know that there's more than just one. There are items that were never entered into evidence that, by their own reporting, is evidence, not tested. For me, this brings up again, it's what you're willing to accept. To me, this is what the difference is between a guilter and a truther. What you're willing to accept and say, okay, I can see where the cops could, just let that go. Okay, that sounds okay. I get it. They were busy. And on the other side of that, and me saying, well, I'm not really willing to let that go. Why didn't you take photographs? Why don't we see these? Why weren't they displayed in court? Why didn't I can bitch about Sturdivant all day long about not stopping on the November 8th when Joe found these alleged bones in the burn pit. Why didn't he stop and say, okay, we need a photographer, we need to document, we need to get people in here that do that before we do anything else? Because I'm pretty sure this is a skull bone or this is a whatever bone. Why didn't he stop? He's a veteran agent. He knows better. Unless that's just the way they do business at the DOJ. That's the way he was taught. I don't know that. I only know what I see. I only know the end outcome. That's the difference for me. Is what you're willing to accept. And then you have to. For me, I have to take that back and say, okay, whatever happened at Cuss Road? How did that end up? Because that was the 7th. What did we find? What's going on here on the 8th? They've already been there for 3 days. They blamed the damn dog for everything. Oh, I couldn't get back to that. Dog was too mean. And we have photos where the dog's just laying down, not giving a damn about what they're doing. Maybe I'm sure Bear was barking at people he didn't know, but after a short period of time, that seemed to not be the case. We see photos of him just sitting there, not giving a damn what they do. It's just dumb, man. Anyway, I've got off on a tangent, and I didn't really mean to do that. I don't know if I answered your question. I kind of rambled there a little bit. See if there's anything else. Corey, can't Bobby say it was the Suzuki Samurai, the one Brendan helped him push? Well, I guess he could, but I mean, the Suzuki's. Well, I guess he could. I don't know. That might be a way for him to kind of say that. See if there's anything I missed. The team trying to overturn everything needs to go on and press plus and get the conversation going. Maybe get a podcast or something pretty quiet in the state. Well, yeah, I mean it's been actually really quiet. We haven't heard anything. Again, we're moving into we're moving into almost fall time. It will be, and I still think we're a few months away from hearing anything from the Court of Appeals. Maybe even again into next year. I just don't know. And then, we don't know. Whatever they decided, we don't know how this new judge is going to react. We don't know anything about this judge at all. Justin, it is possible they found bones at Cuss. They found multiple bone locations in both quarries. So it's plausible. Again, it's back to the question, why wouldn't why wouldn't the frame leave them all in Avery's pit? Well, I can't answer that one, Justin. I really can't. It's a fair question, but it, if you look at evidence in a case, we see it in many other cases, you don't have to. You only need some. You only need, and in some cases, you apparently, you need a small amount of DNA to link somebody, depending on where it's at, to detrimental ends for them, whether they did it or not. I'm just saying, you need, and it's oftentimes less is better, because when you have a lot that is really kind of unexplained, it's undocumented. This is what jams up a lot of this case for Avery, or for people that are saying the state really stepped on their, what, in this, because there's so much that is undocumented of how it got, or why, how it appears. The November 6 photos that Trooper Reese took are so important for me personally. I know they are to Doc, many other people, but they don't show what Sturdivant says he finds. So what happened between the November 6th and November 8th? What occurred? Not one photograph taken, and it's really bothersome. I understand Earl wouldn't want to take photos of a scene where he knows things have necessarily been altered. I get that, but from the time that he took over the scene, processing what he says he finds in the pit, he should have had Zhang, the DCI photographer, document it, photo and video of what they found and where they found it from. That would have satisfied and been beyond any reporting. I can report whatever I want. I can write whatever I want. What you see really is, it really carries the day, I guess. It's the best way I can put it, for the police to be able to bring in the court and say, look, guys, this is what we saw here, here, here. So we decided to do X, Y, and Z. This is because, and you're really succinct. The story's done. There's no going back and say, well, okay, that looks bad, right? The lack of documentation in some really key events is a real. This is what jams up and becomes a real problem for me, and I know for Doc and many other people. And why we ask so many questions and won't let it go. People are saying, "Well, you're just being crazy." Well, maybe I am, but I don't think so, because there's absolutely no reason to have not documented these key events that were used at trial to lock a couple of guys up. This is what it comes down to. Danny Brisbane, this is less legal, more political now. Really, in the height of MAM was the time to really push. Well, yeah, I don't disagree, and there was a lot of push, but there was also a lot of pushback. And I'm talking specifically from the public. There were several really after doing an open records request, but there was a pushback from the state to not let it go, let it out. In the beginning, there were emails for those of us that have been around. There are emails from early 2016 where these cops were basically not knowing. They want to know what to do, how to handle it. They're asking the DOJ, what should we do? Dot, dot, dot. And for me, that's really questionable why they would do that. County sheriffs in Wisconsin have the final say. Unless something is exempted from open records, they're really supposed to let that go. And that didn't happen, at least not immediately. And even there were things that said they were, they said they were sealed in the original packaging and they wouldn't break the seal. Well, that's not the the judge unsealed everything. So that's not really grounds to stand on. And that was used to great effect for a period of time. And there's still other records that I complain about all the time. They still won't let go, or I'm having a really difficult time uh, getting it. I still haven't heard anything. I guess I'm going to send another status update request again later tonight or tomorrow on this request I made to Calumet June the 3rd. So, sure, a lazy framer. Well, that's not necessarily a bad way to look at it, but again, it's just how much DNA do you, if you're going to frame somebody, how much do you need, right? And where do you put it? How do you, again, it just for me in today's technology of DNA, even in 2005, it just didn't take that much to really hammer someone um, from an evidentiary standpoint. To me, less is more. Less would be better because it's easier to explain. When you have a number of different things, it becomes more difficult. And then you can stand and say, well, he had all this evidence. There's all this stuff, this mountain of stuff. Okay, that's true. At the same time, how did it get there? You can't prove any of it. But you've got photos that say something different happened than what you're telling me, because on the 6th, there were no bones in that burn pit that we can see. We see a bunch of ash. It's flat. There's a coil of tower wire from a bunch of steel belted radials that got burned up. There's no van seat sitting there. Other than that, there's no pile of bones. We can't see any bones there. Nothing. So it becomes an issue. Unfortunately, that wasn't really pointed out, at trial. I really wish it would. But for Kratz to use, Trooper Reese's photos is pretty bad. It's pretty telling. Anyway, I've rambled on. I'm just trying to get through any questions. Justin, another fair question: why burn Teresa in multiple places or scatter remains in multiple places if you need them in one place? Makes more sense that she was burned in the Avery's pit and scattered in multiple places elsewhere. Um, yeah, I can't go there because again, um, you need time. You Sheree?
I was just wondering, is there any evidence? And I don't think there is. Like, yes, they found piles of bones over there, but is there any real evidence that any of them, some of them, were Teresa? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
Like what
that's
Sickle
what.
found, the 5-gallon
Well,
bucket
that,
there.
that's where you get into again. We get into trouble because uh, in the beginning, we have to run this back to item BZ, which what allegedly came from Avery's pit that was in the brown tarp. This is where we get into a real problem and a quandary. But that item BZ didn't end up in that white box on the 8th. Somehow, we don't know how. This was another huge discussion we got into last week on X. Um, you run into a problem because it wasn't discovered until November 10th. So Bennett never looked at it. He never saw it. The question becomes, where did it really come from? Where are its origins? How did Ertl miss something like that? Or actually, how did anyone that was there, there were, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them, I think, that were going through this. Um, what, Ertl was using a shovel to kind of scoop up off the top layer and going through the sifter. We don't know the exact movements of everyone else. This is where the photography and the video becomes even more critical. But at the end of what they were doing there on the evening of the 8th, it began to get dark, so they decided to wrap it up instead of getting lights in a generator and continuing till they were done. They decided to wrap it up, so Ertl and his people took off. Jost took off. Sturdivant and Strauss are still there, though. This brown tarp was handed off to Sturdivant. I guess he does whatever with it, put in his car. I don't, I'm just assuming that. But him and Strauss take off. I'm guessing in a gator or some kind of whatever. Go somewhere and come back. And then he leaves. And then that tarp, if I'm pretty sure I got this right in my brain. If I'm not, God forgive me, I'll try to correct it. But I'm pretty sure from that brown tarp was handed off to Reimer. And that's a Calumet detective or whatever. Pretty sure Reimer took control over it or whatever, and it went into the, I guess, went to eventually to Jacobs. Whatever, it got into the evidence garage at CASO. On the 10th, Sturdivant and Dettering. I don't know who else was there. I'm pretty sure there were other people there that were working on other things at the evidence garage. They get the tarp out and start going through it, and allegedly that's where BZ is found on the 10th. Got missed somehow. Did it actually come from the pit? Well, that is the question. You got another problem though. It's not just it being found on the 10th. It's the appearance. If you look at every bone in the box, pretty much, well, actually every bone that I could see, and compare it to item BZ, they're not even burnt to the same degree, not even close. They're totally different colors. And I get that you're going to may have some variation, but most of the bones in that box are white, grayish, or pretty dark. BZ is brownish. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it was burned in a different location completely. That's what I see. So that raises, another question: where the hell did it come from? So, but item BZ is where the Culhane extracts enough DNA to get a little saw match, and that's how it gets tied to Avery's pit. But it's such a thin thread for me personally. Other people want to believe what the cop said. Not by me. I just can't go there. I need more. That's why the documenting of a crime or an alleged crime scene or where something happened is so critical. The trust me, bro approach, because we know the cops will get on the stand and lie. What do we see in the Karen Reed trial? What do we see in all these other trials? Oh my God. Just to get, because, whatever, this guy probably did something. So we've got him on this. So it happens all the time. Oh, Jack, you just don't like cops. Bullshit. That's not true at all. It's not. Not true of anyone if I play that, as far as I'm aware of. That's not it at all. I don't like people that I don't give a damn who they are. I don't give a damn. I don't like people that get on in a court of law and lie. I don't like a police officer or lab tech that writes a report and can't back it up with nothing. I can't go there. I need more. If you're gonna lock somebody up, prove it. I'm okay with it. If they did something wrong and they need to go to jail, just show me what you got, man. So, again, I got off on a tangent. I get wound up, but as far as I didn't really answer your question, but I'll try to do that now. Looking at how Teresa she was definitely dismembered. There's no doubt about it. We have at least a few bones in with hesitation cut marks. That's for sure. But there's different bone parts of bone, whatever, that are found. I don't know why this happened the way it did. I don't know that. I mean, I can theorize all day long, but for me, she was definitely dismembered and burned somewhere where somebody had privacy, time and privacy, and fuel, a lot of fuel. Because to reduce somebody to that degree, you're going to have a hot fire, and it's going to have to be for hours and hours. Unless you've got a crematory. probably get it done in, probably 3 hours, 2,000 degrees or so for 3-4 hours. It's reduced somebody down to that level. But again, if you look at out in BZ, it don't look like that. It's different. That's where I run into a problem. Why scattering? I can't answer that either. But then again, you have to look again, Justin, and everyone else. They didn't mtDNA test any of the bones. None of them. So if those were not treated as bones, who the hell are they? Creates another problem. Again, that's why documenting in a case like this is so critical. It's got to be done. So, sorry that answer was so long and kind of, flambéed, but because when I first started looking at this case, I really didn't. My focus was far more narrow because we just didn't know because so much of this is not in making a murder, and we didn't have any documentation. It wasn't until years that we really started beginning to see how far these cremains were found. And it's we know that the DCI and county officials spent a lot of time in these other quarries, a lot of time. I want to kind of underscore that. And you got to ask yourself, what were they doing? And I think this is one of the areas for me that is unreported or underreported. Two different words there, but both kind of leading down that same path of things were going on and things happened that we're unaware of. There's photos we certainly can't get. There's 200 plus photos that, and I don't know where he was. It's not reported that this, and there was more than one, but this main one, Officer Block from the city police, he took 200 photos on November 6th. I don't know of what, and I've been trying to get them for 4 years now. I still don't have them. 4 years I've been trying to get these photos. Still don't have them. So you gotta have to question, like, what's the problem? That's one of the requests I've got in at the DCI. I think they've got a copy of every photo that was taken in the case. Just a matter of them releasing it. I don't know what the problem would be. I don't know what he took. Again, I don't know what he took photos of. It's not reported. It's just it's in the discovery emails. He's listed, taking whatever on this day, whatever, I can't remember the series of what he's got it labeled as, which series. Officer Block photos 1 through 206 or 7, whatever it is. So unreported and underreported become a real problem for me. Nichols Materials, I think they've found things there that we don't know about. Manitowoc County Gravel Pit, we definitely know things were found there, but again, we have a real lack of reporting and photographs. And then Cuss Road, Susan asked the perfect question: why didn't they if they found something there, why didn't they just move the crime scene there? Can't answer that. I just don't know. I just don't know. Too much missing. Still a lot of DCI reports we can't get. Yeah, I promise we're going to get started here shortly. Yeah, Katie, I don't know. It was, it's just a thought, some things I've been thinking about this week about the condition of the bones. If you just look at the photographs, to have a bone material reduced to the level that it was. I mean, some of these are just little tiny fragments. They're small, and, fingernail size. Half of, just one knuckle of a pinky size, just small stuff. I don't know that she ended up in the rock crusher at Dawn. but it's local. It's there. It's in the region. It just was a thought that crossed my mind. Um, Elijah View possible remains found yesterday at Girl Scout camp in Two Rivers. Is that the little boy that went missing several months ago? Cherie?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Is that was his name.
I hope not. Oh my God. Uh, yeah, that's another problem we run into, Justin. Again, again to reduce somebody to the level of condition of the bones, you need a you need time, you need fuel, and privacy. I mean, you literally need hours and hours, and that burn pit is so small. There's no grate there, so you can't put anything under. It has something set on top, so you have open air. You can feed oxygen to it, fuel, and it wasn't like that at all. I mean, you need a lot of fuel and a lot of time, and anybody could have walked up. That there begins another problem. It's not like these have got fenced off, and people can't get in. People can just walk right over there, so it becomes a real problem. Members of the public could have walked right over there. It's just, I'm sorry, I can't see it. I just can't. I can't prove otherwise, but I just don't believe it. Let's see, from Danny Brewer's fan from a couple minutes ago. Where'd I go? There it is. We know who first mentioned a fire on 1031 and when was it before they found bones? Uh, gosh. I can't remember for sure. Maybe somebody out there in the live chat can think of it. I can't remember if there was maybe on the. I don't. I'd have to look. I just don't remember for sure. But it seemed like it was on the 9th, maybe. I don't remember. It could have been before then in one of the interviews with Steven or somebody else. I can't remember for sure. Maybe somebody else can remember. But then, of course, the bones were found on the 8th. It didn't become. Let's just say in the very beginning, from 11.3, or let's say from 11.5, it wasn't really a thing. It really didn't become a huge thing for a couple of weeks. It really didn't. If you look at the reports, yeah, there's talk about it, but not really a major theme into this for a few weeks, and then it kind of became a thing. And there's a call. I don't know if we'll get into it, but the call compilation that I put together about where Stephen and Bob were talking about what day the fire was. There's even other conversations with other people, with Brendan on the 10th, telling Skorlinski, he thinks it's on the fire was on the 1st or 2nd. Bobby thinks it was before or maybe the 1st. Avery thinks it happened a week prior. Again, I'm talking about remembering things to an exact date. We're talking about these people have fires all the time to burn their trash. They're just not going to remember it. They're just not. Unless something significant happened. It's just another got to burn the garbage, burn some stuff for, get some other crap around the yard burned up. It's just not going to be a thing. I can't answer that. I'll try to find you an answer, Danny, for sure when it was first mentioned. Hey, looky there. There's Scooby. Woo. How you doing, Scooby? Thanks for coming. Bruno, can you remind the issues Brendan had with memory and language, and the fact that he could not stand to view big amounts of blood? Well, he couldn't stand to view any blood. Made him sick, passed out. Some people have that condition. My oldest son is that way. I used to be kind of that way. I wouldn't necessarily pass out, but it'd certainly make me faint, or not faint, but lightheaded and sweaty. Well, I'm long past that now, but yeah, my oldest son can't stand it. He might be able to tolerate it a little bit more now, but for the period of time, he was pretty much just like this. Because if he saw blood, he's probably going to hit the floor. It's such a weird thing. So, and then, his memory and language, those two ladies did that under the hood thing, paper on Brendan, and they did a major study. It's really good. And looking at the different interrogations and the words spoken, how much he talked versus how much Wiegert and Fassbender talked. And I think the number that came out, if I'm remembering this correctly, they talked 85% of all the interviews. Brendan talked 15 to 20% at most. They did the bulk of the talking. His understanding of what they said to him, they broke a lot of that down too. And then I think it was a school psychologist that we were talking about a few weeks ago that Doc was talking about in the reading with the crew, that this whatever testing they had done on Brendan, there were a number of things that he was deficient in, and his memory was a huge one. His memory was basically pretty terrible. Again, that's just what a lot of people are. I mean, Brendan was, 15, 16 years old, so he's still developing, but I just know at that age, I had a pretty sharp memory. A lot of people do. Some kids don't. They have to study harder because they can't retain. They just can't retain the knowledge. It just won't stick. So they have to keep going over it. Have to dig deeper. Make it kind of driving a nail into an event, because their memory. Some people are knowingly they know they have to make it a big deal for it to stick. Some people are not like that at all. So with Brendan, his memory was terrible. And there was another one, that Dr. Leo White. He questioned Brendan at length. I think he been too long since I've read his stuff, but there's an extensive amount of stuff that he talked about with Brendan, his deficiencies and his learning issues. And I know memories in there. I just can't remember what all he said specifically. So yeah, he had real problems, Bruno. Yeah, we're gonna get started here in a minute. Bruno, can you tell how too small was the fire in the burn pit to char an entire corpse in not enough time? Well, I mean, no. Well, we can only look at what we've seen with other people. I mean, there are videos you can look at, maybe not necessarily on YouTube. There maybe they have it, grayed out or redacted, whatever you can't see. But a lot of places overseas, they cremate and have an open cremation outside, whole body, and how long that takes. It takes hours, depending on your fuel load, your oxygen level, how hot you can get your fire. But it takes hours, and it's just It's just not. There's just no way it could happen in that. To me, there's just no way it could happen in that pit. But let me restate this another way. There's no way that there was enough time or fuel found in that pit to have done that to a human body. That's what I see. Now, I'm certainly no expert. I've never burned anything like that. I've burned a lot of stuff, but never anything like that. Not even a animal corpse or anything. Wood, few tires over the years. You know, some just junk. Small amounts. But just looking at other cultures, and then comparatively, that's why in a professional crematorium, they use natural gas. They get the heat up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe a little hotter. I've seen some places go as high as 25 to 2,800 degrees. But then again, it takes time, it takes fuel to do that, and in a brick line or whatever, these oven bricks, they get so hot they can radiate that heat and can reduce a bone down to what was found. It takes an intense amount of heat to do that, and I just cannot see that happening in that little 3x5 or this. It was a small pit. It wasn't big. It wasn't that big at all. So I can't see it personally. You got to ask the question if he did that, and going back to Justin's question, if he actually did that, was able to had that much time and fuel and all that, and was able to somehow get away with nobody noticing him, no smell or anything. Why wouldn't he have just scooped everything out of that pit and hauled it away? I'm just saying, to have left anything in it would really be kind of stupid. So this is where documentation plays a key factor. Yeah, there's some discussion, Corey, about the death certificate. Karen Halbach testified that Kratz told her on November 9 that Teresa was dead. How he knew that, how he could say that confidently, we don't know. We just don't know. We have no idea. Colleen clearly said whatever female DNA she found in the night, she needed something to match it to. She didn't have that. Wouldn't a prosecutor want to be 100% positive for a police officer before they went and informed the family that their child was gone? I believe I would. So if he knew something for positive, what is it? If he didn't know, why would he do it? And of course, the death certificate was signed on the 10th. This was 23 days before Colleen even tested the pap smears. That was November 23rd. So, yeah, there's a lot of questions there behind the magic. How you doing? Hope you're well. Did anyone ever consider, was the FBI ever called in to participate in the investigation? I know that they were there and offered. How much they did, I think, was, as far as we know, was very minimal, at least on scene. Of course, Eisenberg sent material to the FBI, to the Quantico, to the lab. But as far as their actual participation, it was on scene was pretty minimal as far as we know. And then, of course, the EDTA became a big deal. That's a whole other story I'm not going to get into. It's, to me, that's another really questionable event. Well, maybe I will get into it, I guess, because we're talking about the FBI. If you read the documentation that we have, they were first told by the FBI, the state was told it's going to take 6 months, maybe even up to a year, to test for EDTA. And that was towards the end of 2005. No, I back that up. Towards the end of 2006. That was a year off, my bad. And then over the break at Christmas and New Year's, Coburn and or Link got a call about these cops being dragged into the trial, being kind of accused of planting evidence. And anyway, this U.S. attorney in Wisconsin got involved. And apparently whatever he did, greased the wheels at the FBI. So within a very short time there, in the beginning of January 2007, they said, "Oh, yeah, we can do it. It's only going to take a short amount of time." Willis allowed them to proceed with testing. And then I don't know exactly how many days into the trial it was, maybe 10 days or something like that. Maybe someone can remember the exact date, but the results came back about the CDTA. Of course, their defense had no way to react to that. There was a big hubbub and motions filed about that. Gal says, well, Beauty and Strain could have had some college university to have tested this. I know that Beauty looked. He tried to find anyone in the U.S. to test it for EDTA, and no one did it. He contacted, and no one that he talked to knew of anyone that did test for it. No one. Because how's some university going to be able to do that? And the testing that the LeBeau brought into trial to me was insufficient. To me, it was completely insufficient. But they Willis allowed it. So they were involved in that direction too, which I questioned. But as far as boots on the ground, behind the magic, to my knowledge, it was very little, even though they did offer. I think it would have been in their best interest to have allowed that, to have walked away and said, because of the lawsuit. The lawsuit gets downplayed so much, far more by the state advocates. It didn't mean anything. It was settled, guys, he got 400 grand. Well, he really kind of was screwed. He was really screwed at that point. So do I wish it had said no? We should have continued the depositions. Let's get the rest of this deposition stuff out of the way. Yeah, I do. I think things might have turned a different way, but it didn't go that way. Yeah, I don't know, Corey. They tend to work together. I don't know.
Their involvement in Karen Reed's trial was awesome.
Yep.
They helped to expose a lot.
Yeah, there's still more coming out about the Massachusetts State Troopers, and it's just terrible. It is just that guy Proctor. He put such a bad name on those guys. A lot of people don't know in the Karen Reed trial, there are two other troopers that he was in contact with. They destroyed their phones were going to get seized, and they both destroyed their phones right before, like one certainly a day before. I don't know. I can't remember the other one, but it was close to. Their phones were going to be seized. They destroyed their phones, got new phones, instead of turning them over to the state or to the court, whatever. That's really bad. About the direction light found in the trunk. What is the state theory? I don't know that I ever heard one. Do you remember anything, Cherie, about how the parking lot ended up on in the back of the RAV? I don't know that was. If it was, I don't recall. Maybe somebody else can.
No, I don't. Mm-mm. The state didn't want to talk about that, I guess. Or whoever. Nobody wanted to talk about it except us.
Scooby's got a good comment here. Talk about mtDNA. Because when I've talked with people at one of the best mtDNA testing labs in the country that the military uses, etc., that they agree that no mtDNA will be obtained from those cremains. There you go. That tells you something right there. Bruno, why Dr. Heisenberg did not attribute the pelvic bone to Teresa Halbach? Well, that's a good question. I don't know. If you read her reports, they are certainly different than what she testified to, which is I can't answer those questions. Another discussion on X. A lot of people don't know that Eisenberg was paid several $1,000s at least twice, and I think maybe even a third time. So was Culhane, and these people got paid well for what they did. But Eisenberg especially, man, she got paid a lot. Hey, Double D, how are you doing? Thanks for coming. Cherie says, why didn't they just set Avery up to have done it at Cuss Road? My theory, they thought it would be easiest to pin on Avery if they kept evidence confined. And that's probably true, Cherie. I can't disagree with that. Easier to maintain, everything's there, or just whatever, however it got there. Justin Rose Chase did it. The Adam Chase open burn pit similar to Avery's, then scatter the remains around the property. I'm not familiar with that case. Something I'd have to look at. Again, you need time, you need fuel, a lot of fuel, and you need privacy. And while I would imagine that fuel could have been brought to that burn pit, the time and the privacy part is the other factors that are a real problem, a huge problem for Avery if they had done that in Avery's pit. Danny Bruce fan, I would think that modern test that they could test a burnt item and get the components that were in the fire. Well, at least some of them anyway. Going in on the 11th, as they did, and they completely destroyed that pit, destroyed it, scattered the dirt. Just anyway. Yeah, Double D is a really interesting case. I started watching the Karen Reed trial on day 2. The defense lawyer is awesome. He would be a great asset to Casey's team. I agree. The guy is a bulldog. He will absolutely he lets nothing go. Kind of reminds me of the Netflix lawyer, Lita. What's Lita Walker? Was that her name? Cherie?
Yep, yeah, you got it.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Agreed.
Passive Bear, what is H1 and H2? Those are photographs. I know we have some of them. I don't know that we have them all, but we do have some of H1 and H2. I can't tell you exactly what they are from memory right now, but that 2,100 plus photos that Henbury got way back several years ago now, part of H1 and H2 are in there. Let's see if there's any more questions before we get started. Yeah, I wanted to tell everyone Doc's taking a break, a much needed one, because what him and Everly are doing is it takes time. I mean, it takes a lot of time to dig this stuff out. Then it's got to be clipped, and anything that he may want to add to it as a side note. Putting slides together, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy, and that's beyond finding things. That's a whole other I can tell you from my own personal experience, it can just drain you sideways, plus anything else you got going on. So he's taking a couple of weeks off. Take next week off. Maybe we'll do something next Saturday. Maybe just have an open air discussion about whatever you guys want to talk about, because there's clearly a lot of questions. Behind the magic, anyone seen the story? Tom Perez called the Fontana police to report his elderly father is missing. 36 hours later, Perez is on psychiatric hold in a hospital, having been pressured into, confessing he killed his dad. His father was alive, and there had been no murder. Yes, I just watched that clip. I was talking to Jeff Jones about it because of the, we look into a lot of these documentaries, these true crime. That was crazy what they did to that guy. Crazy. I mean, he comes home, he finds blood in the house. His dad's not there. He can't get a hold of him. Calls the cops for help. He ends up at the police station. They interrogate this guy for 17, 18 hours. In the meantime, they're not getting anywhere with him. They bring in his best friend. That didn't, that nothing came of that. They bring in his dog, the guy's dog, into the interrogation room to try to get, and he finally just breaks down. They had him so sideways.
What'd they do with his dog in there?
Let him see his dog, because by that point in time he was in bad shape mentally. They had been after him so hard for hours and hours. And they let him eat. They gave him food and drink, but they had been on him for hours, saying that he killed his dad, and they wanted to know where he was at, what he done with him. And he ends up in the psychiatric ward. The cops come to find out his dad was alive and well. His dad was alive. They found out. They didn't tell him. It was somebody else that told him. I don't even remember who it was. Yeah, I think somebody found out and got a word to his dad. Said, you need to call him. They got him locked up in the psychiatric ward, thinking you're dead. And he couldn't believe it.
Got in trouble for, or at least.
Oh no! Every one of these cops has been promoted.
Ugh. Oh my God!
He sued this police department and got $900,000. I think is what I found, or $600,000, something like that. He got a pretty good chunk of money. I think it was $900,000. Now that I'm thinking about it, there's just no excuse. Those guys should have been fired. It's crazy. It's crazy. Justin, with tires and pieces of furniture, according to the time she arrived, and her last CFNA pings on her phone around 2:45. You don't believe between the arrows of 3 and 11 it could occur? No, I don't. I just don't. We have no evidence of any kind of large, and it would have had to have been a large hot fire. There would have been evidence of that, a massive amount of fuel. Somebody would have seen a massive fire, and no one did. No one reported a massive fire on the 31st. No one. No one smelled anything. Scott said he used 5 or 6 tires. The bones don't have any rubber on them. There's no. I just don't believe it, Justin. I don't. The evidence does not show that. But I mean, the evidence that we see. If there's something else that we don't see, then maybe that could change my mind. But I'm going to need to see something else than what's been presented. And we've been trying to get it. It's not like we're just sitting back and saying, "Well, okay, that's it." Not it. There's over 3,000 photos we still can't get. There's probably, well, I'm sure there's hundreds of documents on how many pages it would actually end up being of just DCI reports we can't get. And to say, we think, okay, well, this is all there is. Well, okay, well, maybe. But then we come up in 2022, and again with this unfiled warrant that Christina got, and we found out about this blunt, bloody instrument object. I see that was found in the back of the RAV that just disappears. Well, where the hell's that at? That tells me that there probably is other items that we know nothing about. I have to think that. I can't go back and say, well, it's just a one-time thing. I guess I could, but I won't. There's too many other things. The zipper voicemail ends up on Kratz's exhibit list 15 months after the fact. How's that work? And nobody has it. If he didn't have access to it, why would it be on his list a month before trial? We don't know the exact date of that PDF file, but the trial started on February 11th, I think. So let's just say a month. How does that work? It's nowhere to be found. Kratz said on X a few weeks ago he doesn't have the voicemail. Well, okay. Somebody else suggested to me that, well, he lost it. Surely nobody here can just say, well, Kratz had the original and only copy. I'll never believe that. Never. There was an original, and copies were made. That's how they do it. The originals, that's why they don't bring certain things into trial. If it's the original, they make copies. They like phone calls and other things. They make copies of the original. That voicemail exists somewhere. I'm convinced of that. Otherwise, why would it have ended up on his exhibit list if he didn't have control of it? As an item, it was going to be, he used, Barb's is listed right there with it. That one got used at trial. So nothing that has been said to me by the state convinces me that they don't, somebody doesn't have it. I don't mean to be putting out any a lot of innuendo. I'm just saying, where is it? The cell phone that got found and was lost out of evidence. This blunt, bloody object that was found in the lab at the Wisconsin Crime Lab. What the hell happened to it? Was it that emergency roadside tire tool that was in the back that was photographed? I don't think it was, but again, I don't know. It's just gone. Corey, no rape and no murder unless we take Brendan and kiss the girl as fact. Well, we can spend a lot of time on that. It's hard to say what really happened with Teresa. Well, I don't know that we'll ever truly know unless somebody else steps forward with something concrete, something that can be backed up, and told as a cohesive story. They're going to need something. I hate to think something like that happened to Teresa. Yeah, that's terrible. Pete Moss. Why did it take law enforcement so long to find the electronics in Stevens' burn barrel? Were we to blame Bear for guarding it also? That's a great question. Well put. Yeah, well, putting out innuendo, Dave Sadler was part of the Cuss Road Search Team A. And then, a few hours later, 12:30 that day on the 7th, he finds these electronics. They're saying that's a Teresa's, but we don't know that for a fact. There's certainly burned electronics of the same type that she had. Were they hers? Well, circumstantially, I guess they are. But proven to be hers for a fact, no. But certainly the same type that she had. But they weren't found to the 7th. And I can't disagree. I can't. If there was any real suspicion of burning and fires, why weren't they on that immediately? So again, fire didn't seem to be any kind of theme in the beginning, right? And the story about Bear, that it's got real problems for me. I guess you guys can hear my granddaughter playing in the background. She's having a big time and they're doing something. No, you're fine, Gloria. We're kind of all over the board right now. I'm looking to make sure we can try to. Any questions we can get to before we start? Some good conversation, though. You see anything, Sheree? Yeah, you guys are talking about Brendan, I'm sure, read Technique 101.
Bruno Beauty had, what time was it when the phone of TH pinged for the first time? Can we deduce that after that the phone was set off or destroyed?
The first time it pinged, gosh, I don't remember that. I know we've got recalls. I mean, from the 31st, it wasn't real early on the morning of the 31st, but there's several that morning and then going into the afternoon that there were pings. I think the last one is around 2:45, 2:40, somewhere around that neighborhood. The last ping. Yeah, there it is. I got to it. Phone was set off. Yeah, no. I mean, we can only say that the signal was lost. Whether it was turned off or destroyed, we don't really know for sure. Bruno, were the tires and pieces of furniture burnt on the 30th or 31st? Well, personally, I believe they were born. I think the bulk of that cleaning and whatnot that they did was on the 30th. I've come to believe that because of the timing of when Brendan was over there, the timing of when Jody called and he remembered Stephen was on the phone. He remembered that. There was no him hauling around, being mistaken about other times. Him being Stephen talking to him on the phone at 8:44 the night of the 30th when Jody called. That tells me he was over there that evening. The next day, Carmen talking about bringing Blaine home from trick or treating. Probably no later than 8:30, maybe even a little bit earlier. Blaine's testifying. He saw Stephen at 11 is wrong. There's just no way. This Carmen lady has no reason to lie. There's nothing in it for her. There's no connection. Why would she say that? That's crazy. Yeah, Justin, there's definitely some parallels. Yeah, there's definitely some parallels. Kansas Boxley, how question, have Kratz and Justice Strickland ever been seen in the same room? Well, I mean, in Justin's defense, he believes that, that there's a likelihood that Stephen and Brendan did this. And that's fine. Everybody has their own right to believe whatever they wish. That's what we're all about. Make your own determination. We just believe one way. We're advocates for the truth. Yeah, look, if we found out tonight, unequivocally, that Stephen and Brendan did this, we would say so. We would show it. This is why, and this is why we're going this direction. I'd do it in a heartbeat. Would it be difficult? Sure. Would it be a bitter pill to swallow? Of course it would. But at the same time, We want the full truth. You got to back up and say, well, the state advocate said if there was other evidence that showed that there was some kind of malfeasance or whatever the case may be that showed that Stephen and Brendan could not have possibly done this, would they be willing to accept it? And I can tell you from just personal experience, I'm not saying Justin, I'm not, but there are others in the community that would not accept it. I'm telling you, they would never accept it. I've seen people say stuff about Brendan that's just crazy. I mean, there's just crazy stuff. Bruno, what is the story of the direction light found in the cargo area of Teresa's RAV4? Well, I mean, I think the only story that we can put together with this is that, Ryan Hilligus told Bassbender that Teresa had wrecked her car or damaged or whatever at an accident, and she got an insurance payout and took the money and didn't have the car fixed. No real discussion about that I can recall. I'd maybe reread the report that talked about the blinker light being put in the cargo area. I don't remember anything like that. It's just about this alleged accident.
It was never an issue at trial. I can't remember.
I don't recall it being I don't recall it being an issue at trial. But there's so much that I can't remember. Anyway, all right. Not saying don't keep asking your questions, please do, but let's get through a few of these calls, see if we can spark some interest into some of this. This call here is talking about the use of Eagle 3, which is a helicopter, and a guy sitting on dog crap and bones. This is at 3:55 a.m. It's been a while since I've listened to this call, so let's see what this is about. It's not very long, so keep asking questions, put your cue in front of it, and we'll try to get to it. Here we go.
Cabot County Sheriff's Department.
Sure it is.
Hi.
Hey, did you hear about Manfuck City Office getting stabbed tonight?
Oh, really? No.
Didn't you hear anything about that?
No, I know that they had Eagle 3 out there for something. You guys didn't have Eagle 3 out there, did you?
No.
I know they had Eagle 3 searching for someone or something.
No.
Why?
No, I just heard that Manfuck spot was called out. Possibly a Manfuck officer was stabbed.
Oh, really? No, I have their scanner on, but I haven't really heard a lot. That's not Keels, Brian. What are you sitting on up there, big guy?
Dog shit and bone.
You sitting on dog shit and bone? Wow. 419.
Yeah, whatever.
The next chief of police.
No, not gonna happen.
What time are you done, big guy?
I've done it. I'm supposed to be done at 7. We'll see.
You're not gonna be. You weren't done at 7 last night, were you? This morning?
No.
What time were you there? Until?
A little after 8.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Oh.
Nice overtime for you.
Yeah.
Alright, gotta go.
Alright.
But,
bye.
Cabot County Sheriff's Department.
Oops, sorry. Pause that. Okay. Yeah, interesting call. The use of Eagle 3. Here we are on the 11th, so they're still using the helicopter. To what extent, there's such light reporting about the use of the helicopter. Actually, it's very little reporting, if I'm honest. So, all right. Next call is Todd Haubach. And he's a third cousin to Teresa. He's want to talk about his wife's ex-husband, David Whitman. And had told him, he said that Whitman was on the Avery salvage yard on October 31st. So it's just a personal, we don't really know. It's an interesting call, though. It's about 4 minutes long, so let's get this one under our belt.
McCounty Sheriff's Department.
Yes, this is Todd Holbuck. And I had a, I can say, strange call last night from my wife's ex-husband.
Okay.
And he said he was at this crime, or he was at the crime scene the same day this all happened, October 31st, with Teresa Holbuck.
Okay.
And he just mentioned that, you know, he, as much as he hates me, because I'm now the husband, you know, of his ex-wife, and he says, oh, I still feel bad yet for, you know, for the family, but I still hate God yet and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same way, why would you say something, you know, if you really had it, you know, and he was at the, he said he was at a getting auto part at that crime scene that same day. I don't know if there's anything to it or not, but.
I can take the information. They can follow up on it. Your name again was Pat Holbach?
Yes, yeah.
Are you brother or
I'm actually distant relation. I'm like third cousin to Teresa. And it just was a weird thing that, you know, and he actually, that I know of, he lives, this ex-husband lives on Highway Q, which is fairly close to where this, you know, this all happened. But he jumps around. We never know really where he really lives. We have no phone number. All I can tell you is the U.S. cellular phone number, and we got a box number for his mail. And that's it.
Okay.
He seems very distant. And
what's his name?
David Whitman, Whitmon.
Okay.
Maybe they already got this lead too. I don't know, but
okay. What's his PO box?
Hang on here. 2352 in Manitowoc.
Okay, and what's your cell phone number?
I don't know that. That's why I say he always uses unavailable phone number when he calls us.
You don't know his number?
All I know is he has a U.S. cellular account. And I believe it's from Manitowoc, but I mean, I ain't 100% sure.
Mm-hmm. And he just stated that he was on the property that day?
Yes, I guess he said that something about getting some parts or for one of his vehicles or something like that. And like I said, they may even know this already too. I don't know, but I just...
Well, I can take the information, and we've been getting a couple tips here, here and there, so I can take the information on, and the investigators can always follow up on it.
Yeah. I guess the thing that bothered me, if he really was felt sorry about what happened, he wouldn't come and say, oh, but I hate Todd so bad that, it just doesn't make sense,
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there was nothing to it, but I thought, well...
Okay. What's your phone number, Todd?
I'll just give you my cell phone number because that's where you can reach me most of the time anyways. 920-286-2690.
And where do you live?
I live in Kiel.
In Kiel? Okay, and you're married to his ex-wife?
Yes.
Okay.
Susan.
Okay, I will pass this on to the investigators and they can follow up on it, okay?
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Right, yep, thanks for calling, Todd. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, it's an interesting call. We don't know what else is going on behind the scenes with these guys, so no way to tell for sure. Hey, there's True Crime Fangirl. How you doing, neighbor? True Crime Fangirl doesn't live too terribly far from where I'm at here in Michigan. I did see a comment from Case. Casey has not disputed the 1031 fire, and that's true. She hasn't. I don't know how much she's looked at the fire at all, to be honest. And maybe it's something she won't do. We just don't know. But I certainly feel that she should. I think it's an area that needs to be explored. Again, I think that the whatever brush and whatever crap they picked up out of the yard, maybe even a couple of tires, was burnt on the 30th on Sunday, and maybe a little bit left over that they wanted to get burned on Monday evening, Halloween, whatever. Had a small fire, and that was it. That's right. That's right, True Crime Fan Girl. Go Lions. Woo. Anyway, all right. Let's see what's next here. I'll cue it up and pause it. Yeah, this is an interesting call from Avi Sawinski. Of course, now, it's not been too many weeks since we were going through these calls. We played this one. She's She says she has some information about the Avery case. She goes on to talk about Shannon Avery. This gets into, Shannon is Chuck Avery's daughter. For those that don't know, she's a lot of chemical addiction problems back then. I know that there was some problems between her and Chuck, and well, anyway, she's staying out with her boyfriend Kenner, and I guess she was there. Says the girl was always using her phone and that she has drinking problems. Anyway, of course, Ivy Sawinski is the sister of Tom Sawinski. I mean, it's really, really strange to have a brother and sister involved in all is weird, like this, that are really not connected to the case per se, but yet they are. Anyway, this is a 3-minute call. Let's play it.
Illinois County Sheriff's Office. Hi, I have some information. I don't know if it's important or not for that Stephen Avery case. Okay. Go ahead and give that to me. His sister or his cousin, I don't remember which one it was, had spent a couple of nights over at my apartment here because she was homeless. Okay. And she spent the night here with her boyfriend Kenner. She always called him Kenner. I had to do my paper routes in the morning before this one time, and she always was using my phone. Okay. She was talking to a whole bunch of people. She always was drinking. She had a drinking problem and everything. And her father wanted to know my address and my name, and wanted to know information about me, and I don't know why. And the thing, when all this stuff was going down with him wanting out of jail and saying that he was innocent and all that stuff, and that was going on with how interrogations have to be held safe. Yeah. She was saying there's stuff that he's not innocent, he shouldn't be out of jail. He really did it. There's stuff I really shouldn't be talking about and stuff like that, but she never said what it was that she shouldn't be talking about. Okay. I don't know if that's important or not. Well, she did admit to me, though. Do you remember what her name was? Shannon Avery. Shannon, okay. I have a picture of her. I took a picture of her, but I didn't develop the film yet. And can I get your name? Sure, my name's Ivy Sawinski. Can you spell your last name? Spell that? The last name, please. Sure. Sowinski. Okay, and your phone number, Ivy? 242-4864. That's area code 920. Okay. That's my cell phone number. Do you want me to get that phone developed just to prove to you that I know I just took a picture of her for no reason at all, to be honest with you? Can I just snap pictures of people? I don't even know if this is even. Why don't you go ahead and get it developed, and if we need it, then if it's okay with you, then we can use that. Okay. What I will do is I will give this information to my investigators, and they will be following up on it with you. I'm not sure exactly when, but they will be following it up. Okay. Okay. Thanks for calling. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, that's an interesting call. It's kind of all over the place, but I got kind of a lot of questions anyway. I don't know how Shannon was in 2005 call. I'm not really sure, but I don't know who Kenner is. Her boyfriend. I don't know his age, but I mean, it sounds like Sawinski's place is kind of a crash pad. Maybe for some younger people, I don't really understand the relationship. I don't think anyone has ever really dug into it. So it's hard to comment too much about it, other than kind of putting those facts kind of together around this. Why she would snap a picture of Shannon, again, I'm not really sure what that's about. Other than her name being Avery. And clearly Shannon doesn't know anything about the case. She's got her own issues going on with whatever. So again, I don't really understand why the phone call. I'm not getting it. Anybody else can certainly chime in and talk about it. See if there's any comments before we move on. No, I don't really see anything. Okay, let me cue this next call up and I'll pause it. Yeah, this is from a Outagamie Corner, John Hagan. He calls at 2:03 p.m. Calls report that what he first says is a cremation and then changes it to death that he feels should have been reported to Calumet, but he doesn't think it was. Dispatch Pages Kleiser, he calls back. So maybe I've got two calls in here. I don't know. It's been a while since I listened to this. I may have queued two calls, or I may have put them together in this one call. So let's take a listen. A couple minutes.
Calumet County Sheriff's Office.
Hi, John Hagan from the Outagamie County Coroner's Office.
Yes.
First of all, on a personal note, congratulations to everybody on the fine job that you all did with the case in Manitowoc County.
That's awesome.
Oh my God! I mean, and I just listened to the news conference. You know, and you're sitting there with your jaw on your chest, like, "Holy Christ, that is something!" Wow. Is Mike Glazer anywhere around? Do you know?
I haven't seen him. He might. I can page him.
Okay.
And have him call you.
I am at our office, but our office is closed, and they've got the phones forwarded. So I will. I'll give you my pager number, and if he could page me with a number, I'll call him right back.
Okay.
It's 920-616-6696, and it's about a cremation. Actually, it's about a death that I think should have been reported to them, and I'm not sure if it was or not.
Can I get your name again?
John Hagan, Hagen.
Okay.
Okay?
I will do that.
Thank you
again.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
At the tone, please enter your touch tone telephone number.
Thank you.
Page accepted. Thanks.
Calumet County Sheriff's Office.
Hi.
Hi. I got a call from John Hagan from Outagamie County.
Okay.
He's got a cremation that he thinks should be ours, but he's handling it.
Okay.
And He's got a pager number that you have to page him and then put in a phone number that he can call you back at.
Okay, sure.
616
Okay.
6696.
6696. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kind of an interesting call. Even, more interesting made by the fact that a Reddit user had a number of records out of Gamey that they had ran Teresa's information through the NCIC system multiple times, beginning very early in the case, within a very short time of Teresa being reported missing. We never made the connection of how that happened. We don't really know how the system works within law enforcement. So we can't make a ... connection, how it got from Calumet to Outgamey so quickly, and why they would run Teresa's information multiple times through NCIC that quickly.
When did they do it? Run it through there?
Within an hour of her being
Wow.
reported missing. Yeah, it was very quick. And then ran it multiple more times. And I know that this person that got the NCIC records asked for any reports, everything that could be provided, and they told them that they didn't have anything. So we don't know how the dotted line went from Calumet to Outgamey so quickly, or why. We don't understand it. It's a rabbit hole that has no answers.
And never been a clue about this cremation that should have been reported to.
That's right. That's right. We don't know the other end of the conversation between Clazer and this Outgamey corner, John Hagan. We just don't know. So it's an interesting dotted line. I did see a question. I'm going to go ahead and get to it. Just because the law enforcement believe in the guiltness of someone, is it authorized to plant a key in the bedroom of him? Well, for me, no. I mean, this, helping a case along because you think somebody did it, that's a personal choice, for a police officer or a lab tech or somebody that has access, total access. That's where the trust line has to stand firm. You have to be able to trust the people doing this work for whatever reason. They're in a unique spot. It's like a surgeon, right? It's like a surgeon working basically alone, doing something to you. And that trust factor has to be absolute, right? So,
yep.
I thought I saw another question. Maybe I didn't. Oh, the comment from Scooby. Can you imagine what a seizure of Craft's electronics devices and computers would yield? Yeah, that's a great comment, Scoob. Yeah, I would imagine it would yield quite a bit if we had it all. Again, I'm one of those that believes that there's things, evidence that we never heard about or never made aware of. That's me. That's my belief. I'm not asking anyone to believe just what I believe. But when I really believed that before the disturbed earth unfiled warrant was Christina got. But after that, I was like, holy crap, man, what the hell's going on? What else haven't we heard about? What else do we not? And you can't even ask the question because you don't know what it is. You just sound like an idiot. You can't just say, send me all the records, because they're going to laugh at you and say your request is too broad. Be specific of what you want. There's just cremains being found all over the place. Yeah, and that becomes another problem. It becomes another problem again because they can't place Avery anywhere else. So how did he have done that? And I do believe that there were. I do believe that if it wasn't necessarily just him, but they were being observed. I do believe that. Maybe not necessarily somebody sitting across the cornfield, but observations nonetheless because of the lawsuit. That's my belief. Not trying to inject any innuendo. I'm not. I'm just saying this is a big freaking deal. Anyway, let's move on to the next call. I'll cue it up and pause. Yeah, gets into Jason Jost, the bone finder on November 8th. And it's an interesting call, and I'll try my best not to get off on a big tangent. We've already been here a couple hours, and I don't want to go too long tonight. We've had a pretty good conversation before we started, but Shedder, Jost called Shedder wanting to know what number Kelly is at because it's got she, but he wanted to talk to him about some of that stuff they found, meaning the burn area behind Avery's. Shedder says, what stuff? So it tells me that Shedder really wasn't aware that Jost was the one that began this. And how could he not know? That's a really big question. Underlined, how could Shedder, he's the deputy inspector of the department, how could he not know? This is 3 days later. We're not talking about an hour or two. This is 3 days later. He doesn't know that Jost was the one that instigated this. I don't understand. I really don't. Anyway, play the call. Not that long.
Hello, Greg speaking.
Yeah, it's Jason.
Yeah.
What number is Kelly at, the lieutenant there?
Todd, I think it's still out there. I don't know what that command post number is.
Because he wanted to talk to me, I guess, about some of that stuff that I found.
What stuff? Oh, in the fire pit?
Yep.
I thought DI agent or you're the one that found it?
Well, I directed their attention to it originally, and he wanted to know.
You're the one that found it? Well, I directed their attention. Play that again.
I directed their. Yep.
I thought DI agent or you're the one that found it?
Well, I directed their attention to it originally, and he wanted to know what time, some times for me, I guess.
Oh, did Todd answer the radio?
I didn't try him at all, so I don't know if Todd's with him or what.
Yeah, he's out there.
I mean, if they're out in the field, I can try and get a hold of them tonight when I come in, or I guess he wanted to talk to me to try and narrow down some times.
Yeah, try Todd on the radio.
Okay.
He's right there by the command post, and then from there, if that not, I'm sure Kelly will be there all night because Brett was there last night. He did night shift duty last night. So I would say that.
Kelly's the guy with the mustache.
Yeah. Mustache, little bigger guy, a little pudgier.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll always stop in there, and I'm sure he'll be there tonight too. But Todd's out there right now.
I'll see if he give me a call. All right.
Okay, very good.
Thanks.
Sounds good. Bye.
For me, it's a really questionable set of circumstances. How the deputy inspector did not know. This is somebody in his department. He didn't know that Yost was the one that instigated this. He put it all together, started thinking. You read his report and the management summary report, put it all together.
He didn't find them. He directed their attention to them. I think that means you found them, Mr. Jost.
It is. It's like he's putting up a wall.
wasn't
And
me.
yeah,
You know,
he says in his report he began putting things together and so forth and so on. Um, Justin, the bones make far more sense that they were burned in Avery's pit than scattered in multiple places around, rather than burned in multiple places and then moved to Avery's pit. I don't believe they were burned in multiple. I believe they were burned in one place where somebody had privacy and time and fuel, and then
then
moved.
scattered around. A few here,
Then
a
scattered.
few there, a few in Avery's pit.
That's right. That's what I think. Again, you know, how much does it take to implicate someone? It really takes very little. It really does. Anyway, this call, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's the 7th entry, but whatever. And discovery of the key during the search that provides the basis for Avery's challenge. Yeah. Well, you know, the problem being is that when, I mean, the whole scenario, and even the fact that Coburn has changed his story after, you know, just a few years ago, the letter he wrote to the sheriff, it's not what he said at trial. Not. He altered his story. He changed it again in Cam. It's just not, it just doesn't work. And even Kraft knew it was a problem. Look at the Manitowoc County summer report. There's not one report after the 8th until March 1st. They were ran off the property. They're done, cleared. I would imagine that there was about 19 kinds of hell found when that key was brought out on the 8th. That's just an opinion. It's not fact. Just know what Kraft said it. You know, and that clip from Cam, you guys just effed my case up. He was clearly pretty hot about it because he knew that trailer had been entered multiple times. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work for me, Justin. I mean, certainly everyone's free to believe whatever they wish. I'm not trying to make anybody believe what I believe. Anyway, let's move on. We'll get another call or two, then we're going to call it a night. This next call, cue it up here and pause it. Citizen calls CASO at 554, and dispatch calls Ryan. This is about something that was posted on some ugly comments on the Teresa's memorial on the website. Let's take a listen. It's about 3 minutes and 40 seconds total. I think there's 2 calls here that I glued together.
Hi, this is Patty Main. I live here in Tilton. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I'm on Teresa Hulbuck's website, and somebody put a derogatory remark in there. And, you know, I don't know if you guys would know who's taking care of that website or...
Yeah, I think we got a name of the guy, so I'll give him a call and have him go look at it.
It's ugly.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Hello?
Ryan?
Yeah.
Hey, it's Lori at the County Sheriff's Department.
Hey there.
I'm not sure if it's you or who's maintaining the website.
Oh, we know that there's a nasty remark on the guest book. We just erased it.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to bring it to your attention in case you didn't know. Somebody called in here and said that, you know, they saw it and they didn't like it and they didn't know who to contact. And I said, I think I know.
Yep,
Oh.
yep, and that worked because we already contacted the web designer who's in California, and he raised it for us.
Okay, what was it? So they need to,
Well, you know, I think so. Something's probably going to have to be reported about it. I don't know what. I mean, and basically, I'll give it to you in the almost exact terms. Sorry for my language.
or do you want to, do you have a way of emailing it to me? Would you be more comfortable with that, or you just
Well,
want to tell me?
it was basically to the point. It said the name was Stephen Avery. They signed in with Stephen Avery,
Yeah.
and basically said, you know, I fucked your daughter, I burned her and tied her up, and I'm sorry, but I needed some pussy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is horrible. Hey, Bladar.
Okay.
Is that on the phone? Can he get all that stuff? The email address and all that? And I don't know what.
Hold on a second, Ryan.
Okay.
824. Let's have it as double B and Farrell. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I just wanted to bring it to your attention because somebody called here.
Right.
And I figured if I had your number here, you'd know.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's just, it's, okay. Yeah, no, it is to our attention.
Okay.
I know the web designer says there's not really a way to get back to it. You know, you can send any
Well, yeah,
email address.
you can erase it, but.
So,
yeah, I don't know if
we erased it. I don't know if we're gonna have to close it or what. Maybe, you know.
Well, just watch it a little bit. So.
Right, exactly. Okay, thank you for telling me though.
Okay, and also,
Yep.
just to let you know, I mean, I drove by that way on my way in. If you guys have any problems with people, I saw there was a lot of cars and stuff.
Okay.
And
everybody's been good, and actually, I've been kind of pushing the press out of here and keeping people off the road, and they've been very good with it.
Okay. Yeah. Just if you need any help, just give a call in here. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Yeah, it was an interesting call. Obviously, Steven couldn't have done it. He's in jail, number one. But, you know, the bigger thing for me is why didn't the webmaster has a way to track wherever that IP came from? Why wasn't that done? Yeah, I have to agree, Corey. It really is. But I think they should have gotten that information from the webmaster and said, "Hey, we need to run this down," because they have access to that. They see the IPs, and VPNs were around back then, but not nearly like they are today. So I don't know. I just think that more should have been done to try to find out where this came from. So anyway. Anyway, this next call. Okay, this is a follow-up. I'm gonna cue it and I'll pause it. This is where Joe Saxley talks to Sipple. Several hours have passed from the time that Joe's talked to Deputy Inspector Shetter, and basically Sipple is wanting a report from Yost, which it sounds like he hasn't written anything up at this point. Do I know that for positive? No, I don't. But that's what it comes across like, because Sipple's wanting whatever. He's wanting details because apparently, I'm just guessing Sturdivant's asking him for something, or one of the DCI agents. Sheree?
Oh, I just wondered if did Jost write something up on it? I can't remember.
Yeah,
Like,
he did, because he did.
Okay.
He wrote some. I don't know what he wrote necessarily was what he ends up in the Manitowoc County summary report, because he did write something up in the summary report about it. But I don't know if it's the same thing that he gave Sipple, because you'll hear it. It ends up he's going to stop in and talk to him about it. I don't know if that's to get memories straight or what exactly how that played out, because we just simply don't know. But he did write something of it's in the Manitowoc Summary Report. That's why I was saying, I was kind of quoting him when he, in the summary report, he says that he was thinking, he started putting things together, and felt like that this needed to be looked at or something to that effect. You can read it for yourself. It's not real long, but it is questionable. It's just questionable because there's not enough for me to draw a full conclusion from it. The trust me, bro thing, I won't do it. There's too many other things that tell me that I can't. Anyway, this is like I said, the first call was at 4:47. This is 9:22, so not quite 5 hours has passed. So let's play the call. About 3 minutes.
Jason, Simple needs to talk to you about the other day.
What's that?
Simple needs to talk to you. He's right here.
I was going to step up there. Well, that's fine. Put him on the phone.
No, that's fine. He said he'll stop there if you want. You want to talk to him? Yeah. And tell Church 61 sitting up here because 45 was having problems, so Charlie brought that back.
Okay, I'll let him know.
You might have to take a different car or bring a different one up here and switch it, whatever you got to do. If you want to come up, that's fine. Here, good.
Hey, good. Yourself?
Not too bad.
Yeah, I heard Mr. Sergeant Orth told me he wanted to talk to me about some times.
Yeah, we just need to clarify, because I walked out of there before you did.
Mm-hmm.
And did you help them excavate it all?
Yes.
Okay. I'll need you to do up a report on that. Because the arson investigator wants a report from everybody who basically touched upon it, more or less. So, from the time that me and you walked in, and you pointed out that you saw that other piece, and then you pointed out that piece to me of the vertebrae.
Mm-hmm.
And then we stepped back. Those two DCI agents came in, the female and the male.
Pause it right here for a second. I want to point out that as far as we know, whatever this vertebrae was never collected, was never photographed. We have no idea what he's talking about other than what he's saying here on the phone and what I guess there's maybe something in the report. I can't remember if there is or not. We have nothing. It was not collected for whatever reason. We don't know. I'll back it up and let it play again, but he said the two DCI, well, he said apparently, series of events, Joe says he saw something. He goes and ends up being simple. They walk back to the fire pit. He points out this vertebrae, and then he kind of skips some time. The male and female DCI agents come in. So they've heard something from someone. Don't know how that worked, but whatever. Maybe it's in the report. I can't recall. But nonetheless, this is kind of the series of events. And I'm guessing because Sturdivant has arson experience, I'm only making the guess that Sturdivant is wanting a report from Yost about his activities. That's kind of the series of events as I see it. If anybody sees something different or knows something different, I've got it wrong, please let me know. But I think why didn't they photograph this thing? Why didn't they collect it as to the beginning of what was going on right then? And again, I have to step back to the November 6th photos that Reese took. He was right there and would have certainly walked right by whatever this alleged vertebrae was. Wouldn't he have seen that and said, wait, what the hell is this out here in the yard? Without seeing it, we can't know for sure, but apparently it was not deformed enough that it couldn't be made out. It wasn't like a black, crusty whatever. It could have been a piece of wood. It was clear enough that it was identified as a vertebrae of some type, animal or human. Right? That's questions I have. Why didn't Reese see something? He was right there. He had to have walked from the back of that property towards that pit because he took photos of that general area. I mean, right there where they would have been, 8 feet south of that pit. I don't know. Just a question. Backing it up 2 clicks and we'll continue with the call.
You pointed out that piece to me of the vertebrae.
Mm-hmm.
And then we stepped back. Those 2 DPI agents came in, the female and the male.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know their names. I know the male is Tom Sturdivant. I don't know the female's name.
Well, the female really didn't have much to do with it. Tom stayed there.
Okay.
At one point I left and he stayed there because I needed to, use the bathroom and everything else.
Okay.
So he stayed there the whole time. Then I came back with the crime lab.
Okay.
And once all their units got there, then we started sifting
Okay.
through it.
All right. Yeah, all right. I've been basically a nice report from you to.
Another thing that I missed. He apparently, when Officer Mignon came back from her break, he says he came back with the crime lab. Did everybody else? Did I hear that right? I'd not picked that up.
I missed it.
Yeah, because I know that they weren't called for an hour and a half. I think they were called at 3 because they wanted the sifting equipment that Earl had. I don't know if Doc's still listening or not, or Duke or somebody that may be in the live chat, but I think that's right. This occurred around 1:30ish. The crime lab wasn't called till 3, and Yo said he came back with them. I missed that before. That's weird. They backed that up.
The whole time. Then I came back with the crime lab.
Okay.
And
I came back with the crime lab. I don't think there's anything in his report about that. I have to reread that. Put that on the list. Back up 5 seconds and then we'll play the rest of the call, unless I interrupted again.
I came back with the crime lab.
Okay.
And once all their units got there, then we started sifting
Okay.
through it.
All right. Yeah, all right. I've been basically a nice report from you to solidify that. If you want to know who was all in there, basically, and the times that they were in there. So just put something together on paper and attach it to your incident report, and we'll file it that way then.
Would you happen to have the log from...
Just another thing, as far as I know, we don't have any police reports attached to with an incident report. We don't have any of that. I don't even know if they exist. All we have is the summary. Been questioning this for a long time. Backing up 5 seconds and continuing.
We'll file it that way then.
Would you happen to have the log from when that septic tank was pumped? I don't remember which one of your officers was there.
Oh, that was the Brilliant officer.
Was that Brilliant? Okay.
Yeah. Got here on?
Because otherwise I'll stop up there and I just want to look at a couple times on there because I had relieved her for a short time. Then when she came back, that's when I decided to come and talk to you about that.
Oh, okay.
Then then the 2 of us came back, and then that's kind of where it progressed from there.
Yeah.
So
All right, why don't you stop out then?
I'll do that.
I'll dig that log out and I'll have it ready for you then.
Sounds good, Phil.
All right, take care.
Thanks, I'll take it.
It's a really interesting call for me. I had missed that. He came back with the crime lab. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if I can make anything out of it except just file it up there like, okay. I can't remember. I know the crime. I know what Ertl says where he was when they called. I can't remember if it was at the Calumet garage. I can't remember. I'll have to look at that. Anyway, I apologize. I haven't been following the conversation. Anything I need to bring up before I'm going to play Oh, I did see a question from Corey. What bones did Zellner stipulate agree were Teresa's bones? I don't know that she did. I don't know if she did stipulate. I can't recall. I don't remember that being a specific thing that she's put.
I don't either, but I could just have forgotten.
Same here. I mean, she's filed a lot of motions. I don't remember her stipulating to that. I'm not sure at this point that she would. I think for her that would have to be a scientific proof kind of thing, because none of the bones were tested, either through mtDNA or the rapid testing. Calumet County, not even Manitowoc, confirmed that BZ came from Teresa with an error rate of 1 in a billion. It was her FBI also did their own testing and proved it. Again, I'll link if you'd like. Well, that's it was actually the crime lab. It was Sherry Cohane that made that determination of the 7 loci. Together with the saliva test compared to Karen Hallbacher, Doc would have to explain it. There is something unique that Karen Hallbach has that was also passed to Teresa through DNA that was discovered in that saliva, that buccal swab. That pretty much tells us that whatever this piece of BZ is Teresa. The problem, though, Justin, is where did it come from? Again, you got to look at what's in that box of bones that they allegedly took to Bennett and compare the two. They're nowhere near the same. They're not even close in appearance wise. And how does muscle tissue survive a fire that had to be in the neighborhood of 1,500 degrees for hours? Hours. I mean, if it takes a professional crematorium at 2,000 degrees or so, at least 3 hours to reduce a human body to ash, that kind of condition. How long would it take in a fire pit that, without doing some really strange shit, that, pardon my language, that to be able to reduce somebody to that degree? The fuel, you're going to have to feed it oxygen of some type. You're going to have to maintain a pretty significant fire in an open pit. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. And again, you got to look at the bones. You got to compare them side by side. They're not the same at all. The degree of burn, they're different. They're just different. It looks like it was burned somewhere else. Can't prove that, of course not. I'm just stating what I see, and it not being observed on the 8th changes everything as well. All right, let's play. We got one more call for the 11th. Let me cue it. I can't remember what this call is. Avery jail calls. Yeah, this was. I was asked to put this together. It's a compilation of 3 calls. I've got them listed there. Talking about this is Dolores a couple of times, and then Barb. It's not very. It's about a 3-minute total. Talking about how I guess Bobby had talked to them about how law enforcement had treated him. This is the 11th and 12th, so this is definitely after the interview of the 9th, where that's a really strange interview with a DCI and Dettering. Really strange. Anyway, let's play these 3 calls here.
This is a public communication services collect call from
Steve.
an inmate at the Calumet County Jail. The use of three-way or call waiting will disconnect the call. This call will be monitored and recorded. To accept this call, dial 5 now.
Hello?
Stevie?
Yeah?
Okay, dear, here's your mom.
Yeah, okay.
Hello?
Oh, you're still there?
Well, yeah.
Oh.
You made a pizza and I went and feel it. They really questioned Bobby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was just terrible, he said.
Mm. Well, at least the FBI is on here.
Huh?
At least the FBI is working now. See, I don't understand them taillights and the headlight lights.
No, I don't either, Dad. Did you tell that to them?
Yeah, they're gonna talk to Chucky and everything. They're gonna talk to Bobby.
Yeah.
Because Bobby was there when she came in.
Oh, poor Bobby. Oh, he's been tortured. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
That's something else.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel sorry for all of them.
Huh?
I said I feel sorry for all of them. Everybody. We shouldn't have to go through all of this.
Yeah, that's the first time he ever went through that.
Yeah.
Brian, I don't know what they did with him. They didn't bother his car.
No.
No. Well, that's all, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think they bothered Corey's room either.
Yeah.
What's up?
This call is from the Calumet.
How are you doing?
This call is from the Calumet County Jail. This call may be monitored or recorded.
So. Could go better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of this goddamn evidence.
Huh?
Instead of this goddamn evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So they hit Bobby pretty good, huh?
Yeah. He doesn't even want to come home.
No.
No.
Yeah, who would?
No.
So they tore up that house is pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. There was 3 clips that I mentioned about how law enforcement talked to Bobby. We don't have the actual particulars of everything, but it just sounded like they treated him pretty rough. That's what I got from it. Anyway, I want to call it there. We still have let's see where we're at. This 11:18 call where Marvin and Avery are talking about when the fire was. There's 3 clips I put together about the Blazer, the call about Oral Jacobs talking to his brother. It's a 12-minute call. And then the Mark Williams call. We'll do that next time. Maybe have another conversation about different things. But we'll start on this 11:18 call for next time. How about that?
I was just skimming through the foul play website looking for that report that Joe wrote, and I don't know what to look under, so I haven't found it yet.
Look for, just type in summary in the
Oh,
search
okay.
bar, and it's going to bring up the Manitowoc. You'll see the summary report.
Okay.
I can't remember if it's labeled MTSO or Manitowoc. But if you type in summary, it should bring it up in the search bar. So let me get that off the screen, and let's see here. We'll pop up our end screen. Just because we've been talking about this quite a bit today. I'll pop this on screen. And we'll end with that. Been a good discussion though. A lot of good comments. No, we don't all have to agree. That's fine. This is kind of a back view of the Avery salvage yard on the 11th, and I think this is 11th. Yeah, you can see that there's still, they got their searchlights. There's a generator up there. The tarp has been pulled back. So this kind of came up in discussion. Oh crap! I didn't put that on the screen. I apologize. There it is. Anyway, let me look here to see if there's anything I've missed that we haven't discussed. I don't want to. I think we pretty much got everything. I'm looking. I'm not ignoring you. I promise. Yeah, Corey, I did hear Stephen's comment. That was on I think the 12th. He made that comment. But whatever involvement they had was pretty minimal. I just remember seeing that they had offered their assistance, and I guess it was, turned down at that point, which I think was a huge mistake. They have the resources to have went in and done a pretty great job, I think. I guess depending how much you trust federal, and it's not to say that federal agents are, that they can't make mistakes, or there hasn't been issues, because there has, but I think from the standpoint of looking at the lawsuit, they would have been better off to have taken federal help. At least let them have ran the investigation with supporting evidence, maybe from the state troopers and maybe law enforcement, that maybe from Brown County, people that are not really connected to that area. So Pete Mull says, why is it not possible to gain a full DNA profile from a lump of muscle tissue, and why did they allow an identification to be made on 7 loci when the law called for 15 loci? Well, Doc would have to answer that in a better way than I can. I can only repeat what he said. It's because of heat destroying DNA. It's the enemy of DNA, and the technology at the time would only allow for this PCR, or whatever she used. I guess it was PCR, to amplify the amount of DNA to a certain degree. The rest was degraded so bad she couldn't obtain a full genomic profile, only a partial. You found the 7 loci that can be matched to Teresa, along with the buccal swab from Karen. I think that pretty much ties it in a knot, because again, there was some genetic thing, and I can't remember what it's called, that Karen had that she passed to Teresa, besides the her half of the DNA that was also present. So it pretty well tells me that BZ, wherever BZ came from, no, I don't think it came from the pit. I don't. Not burned anywhere near to the degree that the other bones were bound. So, I don't know necessarily that the law called for a 15 loci match. I think that for a 100% match, the requirement was for 15. That's the most that they could have at the time, that they had at the time. There's more than that now. I think it's up to, what is it, Sherry, 20 or 21 loci? 22? I can't recall. something like that. It's more though now than it was then.
That rings a bell, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't tell you specifically why they was allowed, but maybe just allowed what Culhane found is what they did. To say that that's Teresa out of the 7 loci, no, I tend to agree. No, I think you got a problem there. That's less than half. But when you add in the other, I think that yeah, it probably is. Now, I fully understand there's people out there that. Yeah, there you go. Doug said it. Yeah, and the heat. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, Doc. Heteroplasmy. Yeah.
I pasted the end of that Joe's report in this chat where it talks about the crime lab. It's a very short piece.
You want to read out what it says?
I can. Sergeant Jost, remained at the burn pit area. A short time later, I believe it was Tom Sturdivant from DCI who walked over to the pit with one of his female partners. Utilizing a small twig that was present, Tom moved the bone above. Without touching it, it still appeared to be some type of vertebrae bone. He moved some of the steel belting wires, which were located in the east side of the burn pile, and found there appeared to be several other items which appeared, must be I missed some of it because it's stopping before I even get there. Based on this information to the command post to speak with, he returned to the command post to speak with the crime lab. Members of the crime lab responded to the scene. Using their sifting equipment, they sifted through the majority of the burn pile. They located numerous bones and teeth, which were present among the ashes. These items were later given to the CASO for processing. No further details.
So he doesn't even say in his report that he came back with a crime lab. Okay, that's interesting.
No, he says they responded. He didn't say they came back with him.
That's interesting. Okay, well, I'm going to call it quits unless somebody has anything else. We've been here 2 hours and basically, 2 hours and 40, almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's long enough. I was a little late. I apologize. That Shree and I were running our mouth before we started. Anyway, it's been a good conversation. A lot of great questions before we got started. Maybe we'll do that next Saturday. Like I said, Doc is wanting to take another week off, and I don't blame him. He's still doing stuff. Don't think that he's just sitting around watching movies. He's still working on Brendan's stuff because we talk pretty often. So that's not stopped. He's just to do it all and have a presentation is a whole different ball game. And I'll tell him to take whatever time he needs to take. Right? Get your brain rested. If you need to step away, step away.
Yeah.
It's what I do. So with that said, I appreciate everybody hanging around. Some great questions. Keep asking them. Dr. Silkman finished already. Yeah, afraid so, Doc. I've had enough and I'm getting hungry. I got a few other things to do and some other things I want to try to read tonight if I can. And we'll do. Well, maybe we'll plan for something for next Saturday if everybody wants to get together and talk and talk about some of these various issues that we've discussed. and even some other areas of the case that are that we question, we can do that. So with that said, I'm going to thank Cherie for coming along and being here. Appreciate it, Cherie. Anything you want to add?
No, I'm good. Thank you for allowing me to join you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an open discussion, so pretty much anybody can jump in if anybody wants. So with that said, I appreciate everybody again that's come along and participated in a really good discussion. Keep asking questions. If you have questions that you think up through the week, write them down, jot it down. Maybe we can discuss it next weekend. Yeah, Scoob, you're certainly welcome to come on the podcast anytime. Let us know when you want to, and we'll send you a link and you can jump in anytime. So with that said, I'm going to say this has been a Battle Tape production. Good night, everybody.